Flowing water pushes against the shoreline and scours the soil of the bank. This dynamic often creates depressions or troughs right along the shore that have greater depth and slower flow. Add in a stable bank of soil, and the grass that grows there will grow tall and hang over the water's surface. Anytime you have deeper, slower water with concealment by overhead cover, you have prime habitat. Grass undercuts can be on any size stream, creek, or river. Size is irrelevant, and the principle's always the same. The primary reason trout use this structure is because there are favorable water conditions of depth and flow. That wonderful overhead cover, those overhanging grasses, inhibit predators from being able to see through the broken sight lines or into the heavily contrasting shade that thick grass creates. The key is to be able to identify these micro locations in a larger river. We can't just think of large locations with many trout, rather, we'll find larger, sole trout in these micro habitats. We focus on that one feature before moving upstream to find the next. We know that trout habitat requires flow, oxygen, protection, and food, and grassy undercuts have that in spades for most of the season. Seasonal water fluctuations have heavy impact on whether a trout can use this habitat. During high water, fish will often line up under these banks as the heavy flow of water forces trout to find current breaks, which are present thanks to the subtle deflections that the shoreline anchoring grass creates. However, in lower summer flows or in drought, trout often abandon these locations because flows are lower. The flow reaching those troughs has slowed down to the point that summer sun heats up the water and warm water has less ability to carry oxygen. The excitement of grassy undercuts occurs from early summer through fall. If you find a grassy undercut that has year-round flow of water, the summer and fall seasons are prime time. Terrestrial insects use this shoreline habitat. Dragonflies and their smaller cousins, the damselfly, use this habitat to hunt other insects. Trout that feel safe in amongst the grass can be shameless in how they expose themselves, as they in turn hunt dragons and damsels. Grasshoppers are almost always falling onto the water. They may be flying in nearby fields, and wind gusts can blow them off course onto the water. The same is true if your stream has a cicada emergence. Ants and beetles are always crawling along the shoreline grasses, and even a subtle wind blowing on grass can be enough to knock them onto the water's surface. Trout often cruise out from the bank, searching for terrestrials before tucking back into the bank. It's a perpetual game of tagging their secure home and escape cover before venturing out to feed once more. When hay fields are cut late summer to early fall, there are a lot of displaced terrestrials that are at the mercy of being blown by warm fall winds onto the water. While water conditions are low, look for undercut banks and ply them with terrestrial patterns. It's one of the big highlights of the fly fishing season.